Don't worry about it. We will not be an hour, I promise. I think, I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you so much, Mark, for the introduction. But honestly, I want to say to Mark, Mark is a hardworking, slightly younger leader in our organization, was recently added to our international staff. But here's the key. Mark put in the work. He was a president, and also, while serving as president, opted to be a local union discussion leader. I'm not sure if you all know what that means in the UAW. That's a LUDL, which means you spend weeks up learning at Black Lake, away from your family, away from your home, learning to lead conferences and train and pour into other people. You don't have to do that when you're president. You can just be president. But his commitment and his excellence shows the kind of man that he was. So he's been an outstanding trainer there, an outstanding father to his sons and man. So thank you, Mark, for the great introduction.
Thank you.
I also want to say to the wonderful administrators who are keeping the tradition of training, improving, and analyzing the state of Black men, and according to this audience, women too, in the unions alive. I know how important that is. That's the wonderful, the talented Ghana Goodwin Dye. That's the program administrator, Tracy Dye. I still think they're sisters, they're just not telling us. The conference coordinators, Lance Holmes, Jordy Easley, and Mark Willingham. Please give it up for them. You all, it is a lot of work to come in and do a conference like this. It does not happen overnight. People study, they plan, they work. This is a all-year thing. All year, these people were thinking about you, trying to figure out how best to enlighten you, how best to inform you, how best to inspire you. Because the fact of the matter is, we need you. We need you more than we've ever needed you at any other time in history. But I bet you if you went back 20 years ago, the people on the stage said the same thing. Because it was true then, just like it's true now. We need you. There are people fighting against us every day. They don't want this room to be here. They don't want it easy for us. I heard about some locals where at one minute, like more people were coming here, and the next, those people couldn't come. Things get shut down and changed for a multitude of different reasons. It's not easy to be in this place. So give it up again for all the people who put in that work to be here. I also want to acknowledge my brother with the great name and the great school, the Vice President of Steelworkers. Thank you so much for opening it up with that great address. I think it's an honor to have a Vice President of the International Union here, so give it up again for him. And then I want to take a few moments of just personal privilege here to acknowledge a few people who have poured into me and are responsible for me being able to have that long bio that I got to cut it down again. They said short bio, and I still didn't do it. I don't know. I got to work on that. But who have been responsible for me to be able to have such a long bio. These are the people who taught me, who shared their life with me, who encouraged me when I was down, pushed me when I said, I don't know, I'm not going to do that, and helped me to get where I'm going. There are so many friends in the room. If I called their names, I guarantee you I would forget a whole bunch, and they would never buy me lunch, and you know, they would talk about me, Harvey, and they would give me a hard time and call me Bishop, Vice President Gerald Kareem, you know, and all kinds of people giving me a hard time. But you know, I try to mention a few as if I can, because you don't get anywhere by yourself. And that is really what you heard Brother Matt say it, you heard again say it by others tonight. You don't get anywhere alone. But I have to call a couple of names because I have never been able to do this before. I've given lots of speeches, been on lots of stages, but it seemed like every time that happened, one particular person was out of town, to the cruises. The vice president at the time, the president of the United States gave me an award, and I just knew my mama was going to be there then. But she had a trip planned. I said, don't worry about it, Mama. You don't have to be here. But tonight, I'm fortunate because my mother is here today. So please give her a tell you publicly, as well as my stepfather Glenn is here, how both of you have poured into me, have believed in me, and allowed me to do great things in my life. have helped me be a better father and a better man. So thank you. My mother took me, thank you. My mother took me to my first picket line, way back in the 80s, Detroit Fire Department. Stop guessing my age. Nobody told me. Nobody do no math like they brought this old man here to talk to us. Don't do that. But my mother took me to the first picket line that I was on, and I was little and I was inspired. I don't think she ever heard me say that, but I was. I didn't know what the heck was going on, but I saw a bunch of people yelling and telling people what they was going to do and what they weren't, and I said, that sounds like the job for me. My father was also organizers for the Teamsters International. My dad's idea of organizing was, my father was the big black guy, they had a big white guy, they had a big Indian guy. They walked into the trucking company office, they beat up the goons that they found there, they found the owner or the manager, and they said, sign this card, you've been organized. Then they took that paper and they tried to rush to get it turned in before those thugs would get back and steal the card back that the owner or the manager just signed and stop them from being organized. I remember once going to go pick him up and his car had been firebombed. And I'm not sure if that was the other people or not, because my dad was the truth. But at any rate, my father had a lot of pride seeing me get to the International Union of the UAW. He's no longer with us, but his stories and just the hopes and dreams that he had are responsible for me being here as well. So, a few other people I'd like to mention. When I started out in the plant in 1994, I walked in the door and I thought I knew everything. I had just been fired from my previous job. And it wasn't because I thought I knew everything, it was racism. The guy called me a term that I'd never heard before. And I wasn't sure what it meant. I went home, called my father, and he said, son, that man just called you the N-word. Well, I was 20. I'd like to fight him. I said, oh, we gonna fight tomorrow. Except I was just gonna fight at his house. I used to pick him up and take him to work every day. Oh, wow. How you gonna be this when I'm taking you to work every day? So I went to his house, I knocked on the door, his wife said, Steve left already. And I went to work and it turned into a big brouhaha. We found out there were skinheads in the plant. I was a member of another union at the time. They didn't stand up, they didn't do much. It just got worse and worse and worse. Eventually, their solution, they gave Steve 2 weeks off. Another gentleman on the midnight shift that worked with the only African American on that shift said, that's not what it means, I'm Italian, that's not a racial epithet, that's not a bad word, I'll call you one right now. He said, don't call me one. He said, I'll call you one now, don't call me one. He called him one, they gave him 2 weeks off. Next thing you know, we had flyers and emails and nooses and letters saying 2 good white men got 2 weeks off for these 2 thugs. Wow. I hadn't fought nobody. Where am I a thug? What happened? The union didn't do its job, to be frank. They didn't do much to help me. And I was terminated not long afterwards. I walked into Ford Motor Company in 1994, so happy to have that job, because I had a newborn son. I had a Beretta GTZ. It was blue, it had nice rims on it. It had nice sounds in it, but they repossessed it. I had no job for 3 months. One of the most humbling things in my life, watching that car get towed off. I was like, damn. But I got it from Larry Lee's auto finance. Paying like 30% interest. They probably did me a favor. But they took my car. I walked into Ford Motor Company and I needed that job bad. I was happy to have that job, you know. And I walked in there and I said, I'm gonna do this job. And I wasn't there 2 days. Wasn't there 2 days. When the gentleman walked up to me, his name was Willie Berry, Willie Wardale Berry. He walked up to me and said, young man, you think you know everything. I said, damn, I didn't even say nothing to nobody. He said, I like the way you work. Well, I was barely able to keep up. We were lifting 35-pound fuel tanks every other hook. You work a half hour on, a half hour off, you were so tired. Every day I walked out, I couldn't even raise my arms. I had a nice, pretty girlfriend. She'd be coming to get me, I tried to hug her. Still my woman, because I can't hug her. And it was rough. But it wasn't long that Willie started to pour into me. He passed in 2014. I called him the ultimate lover boy because he was so smooth with his tongue. He would get on the phone and talk to people. They fall in love, they'd be in China. It wouldn't matter. He was slick. He died February 14, 2014. But he believed in me. And I would not be here today because that man, who was eventually he became chairman, but he was our bargaining chairperson. And he sat down and he talked and he pushed and he encouraged me to come to union meetings. And he let me ask questions. And he showed me how he financed his house. And he showed me when he bought a bad loan. And he told me how many days he went home when he wasn't there with his kids. And he told me about his divorce. And he talked and he talked and he talked. If you hear nothing else I tell you, if you're not going back to teach others, we're all wasting our time. Come on now. Willie eventually put me on his staff at age 25. Now, I really did think I knew everything. I was on the staff. I wasn't elected. I was appointed. Big shot. And I thought I was important in that place. And I just knew I was going to run the show. And then lastly, the other person I need to thank is Jimmy Sellers, retired vice president of the UAW, who gave me so many opportunities to allow me to be a part of the international UAW. It was under his tenure that I was able to dream big ideas. It didn't matter how big it was. I could dream them, implement them, thrive, and become an old school throwback union leader. You don't know what that means? An old school throwback union leader is the kind of people who get work to change their community, not just at work. They don't go to work and say, I'm done, I did my 10 hours, leave me alone, give me my beer, turn on the TV. No, these are the people who went through block clubs, nonprofits groups, civil rights, sports teams. They were involved in social justice and absolutely positively politics. It is why we have what we have today here in Michigan. It is why our state is completely Democratic for the first time in a really long time. Second point I want to say to you, you have to find a way to give back and get involved. They respected us when they could see us out there. I know it's hard. Y'all working 10.7 hours, mandatory Saturdays, don't get as much time off, probably so happy to be here just so you can sleep a little tomorrow morning. I know it's hard, but everything is hard. You gotta give a little bit more. We need you. These groups I just named, they're dying. They're dying. We have a hard time getting people to places like CBTU. We have a hard time getting people into the TULC. How many people know what the TULC is? Raise your hand. Used to be a time there was no way a bunch of black people could be in a room and not know what that was. That's the Trade Union Leadership Council, created back in the 50s. I had the honor of being the youngest president in the history of the organization. We had so many people in that club ain't even as big as a fourth of this room. And they used to have a line to get into it, because that's where we exchange ideas as African American people. So we got to get those things back, but we need you. And again, I know it's hard, but we can't let these things die on the vine. So, second lesson, you got to give more than what you're giving, because we can't keep what we got if you don't. You pick one: politics, your football team or your sons, civil rights, social justice. There's always a march. There's always an issue. Unfortunately, until we find a way to eliminate it, it's going to always be a new name that we're going to have to mention. It's because too many of us are checked out. The George Floyd National Policing Act, it should be a question of passing that bill. If just this room checked in, if just this room said, I'm tweeting about it, I'm posting it every day, you would get on their nerves. Because the National Rifle Association has a small amount of people that are active, but it feels like a lot because they give their money and they spend their time. We got way more people. What are we doing? Squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's time to start squeaking. All right, let's get started. So, the spoken word is one of the most powerful things that we have had as human beings. It's not weapons, it's not bombs, it's not disease, it's the words we speak. It's the things we dare to utter. It's the dreams we commit to with our words. It's the hopes we dare say that begin to activate our minds and our spirits. Prayers, affirmations, speeches, sermons, music, poetry, any declarative statements have a way of coming into existence when we say them. Say what you want till you see it, until you see what you want, is a statement that I live by. You just can't walk out and say, I'm gonna be a millionaire, right? We'd all say that. I'm gonna be a millionaire and not put the work into being there. But if you are too afraid to even say it, it's highly likely you ain't gonna be it. Our words have power. Words have stopped wars. Words have healed broken hearts. Words have awesome world-changing power. Words can bring about a world we can be proud of. Words can uplift and encourage children. Words can ease the heart of a dying soul. Words can close the gaps between two strangers faster than anything else. What are you doing with your words? Are you encouraging and uplifting others and yourself? Or are you beating people down with your words, including yourself? To have the right words, though, you have to pour into yourself daily. You can't pour in negative things and expect positive stuff to come out. It ain't gonna happen. It'd be just like using diesel fuel in your unleaded engine. That car ain't gonna work too well after a while, right? Unfortunately, and far too often, we use words that are used to divide, words used to hate, words used to tear down, words used to incite violence. Words are used to increase fear. We remember the people who spoke to us using both types of words. Those harsh words spoken to a child will scar them as an adult for years until they're properly processed and dealt with. Unkind words said online can push people to take the ultimate sacrifice. Words can tear people down in a way that lasts far longer than physical injuries. Both the hurts and the bruises are obvious on the outside, but words linger and are insidious to our spirits and minds. Then it is imperative that we start to use alluring words, healing words, affirmations, things that we can speak light into people. We can speak empowerment. We can speak faith. We can use our words to pick people up when they need it the most. We can and should use words of peace, words of love, words of power, words that uplift, words that bury the past, words that forgive, words that move people to change for the better, words that help children, words that help the elderly. Words, 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 words. Use your words wisely. And today I pray and hope that I use mine to help you, to give you a look into my life so that you walk away from here with a better understanding of your words. Today, our theme is leading with integrity in a new world. I pose that question to myself rhetorically often because integrity is a big deal. Unless you were sleeping and hiding on a rock, you've heard about some things going on in my youth. You've heard about it because the media made sure you heard about it. People have scammed money, done all kinds of things at the big three on the salary side. They had a huge deal that happened in their purchasing department at a certain big three company. You ain't heard nothing about it, have you? People sold secrets to China. They had one little blurb, that was it. You all do know that, like, that's spying, and people were executed for that still. And you ain't heard nothing about it. It's just a little blurb and then it's over. But yet every day on the front page, we've seen consistently, and they don't just talk about a news story if there's one. They attach it to the old one and say blah, 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 blah. And they keep piling on. So integrity comes up a lot. Fine, let's deal with it. First thing first, before we can talk about integrity in our leadership, we have to have it inside ourselves. You know, you can't look into the mirror and feel good about what you do every day if you haven't done good every day. You will look in that mirror, usually me when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning. It's probably the only time I'm quiet. God's like, okay, we got you, big mouth. And he points out some stuff, and I go, oh. The key to integrity is being the first to check yourself, to remind yourself that I need to do better, and to let other people know that we're going to do better. We ought to always be striving for higher and higher. The UAW, steel workers, all unions, our politicians, our elected leaders, our ministers, everybody. We wonder why kids are running amok because it's what we do. I heard today, I was listening to Malcolm X, and Malcolm X said, our kids in our school back in 1963, we don't have any discipline problems because the parents don't have discipline problems. Man, I watched that 5 times this morning. Wow. Wow, I'm not a black Muslim. I was just interested in hearing what Malcolm X had to say. But how do we, in a time of high inflation, low cooperation, direct elections, social media, pessimism, and flat-out denial of all the values that helped us get here, build something positive? People historically have been interested in being a part of an organization that deals with integrity. We have to find a way to bring people into an organization. It starts with individuals having integrity, long before we can ask a group to have integrity. But I have 7 things that I want to share with you all that I think will help you be successful, not just this weekend, but in general. Because we're all here because we want to be successful at something. And by the way, success is a simple thing. Success is you doing whatever it is you said you wanted to do. To some people, that might be a school teacher. Somebody else, they might want to start a business. Somebody else, they just want to get 30 years. Somebody else wants to improve their contract. Somebody else wants to be elected. Somebody else wants to be able to retire and do something else. Somebody else just wants to make sure they have enough food to eat. Success is whatever you say it is. But in order to be successful, I believe the following 7 things will help you get there. So, I grew up in the church, Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Our late great Dr. Frederick G. Sampson would often say, if you didn't have a pen, you didn't plan on learning. So I hope you have the ability to have a pen. The sister in the back said, I got my pen, man. But feel free to take them now. Number 1, you have to get the concept of elevators and stairs down pat. Elevators and stairs, what you talking about? You know, when you get on the elevator, you can go from the bottom floor to the top floor, just like that, right? It's easy. In fact, very few of us are going to take the stairs when we're going to the top of the Empire State Building or the Renaissance Center. We don't even know what the stairs are, please, the Renaissance Center. Okay, we're not doing that. But in life, you must take the stairs. See, if you take the elevator, you're going to get to that successful point real fast, and you're not going to know what to do with it. You're not prepared. I walked into the plant at 20 years old, me and my really dear best friend, David Freeman, who was often the speaker here at Black Men in Unions. He passed away in 2017. We walked in 1994, and we looked at each other and said, they don't know what they're doing here, they stupid. They be cussing at everybody all the time. They're not polished. They didn't go to anybody's college. They don't know what they're doing. We taking this plant over. Dave was 10 years older than me. Somehow he let me say I was going to be the president and he was going to be the vice president. He was so kind. Yeah, we walked in and said, we're going to take the elevator. We're going to kick all these people out of the way. They don't know nothing. And we take it over. We wanted to take the elevator. Thank God we had to take the stairs. We took the stairs. And why the stairs? Because each step along the way prepares you. It strengthens you. When you go up the stairs slowly, you can look back and say, okay, I'm at a new level. What I got to do on this level? What I got to do in this job? If we gave it to you too soon, you would just end up wrecking and crashing. Imagine giving your 5-year-old son the keys to your car. Ain't no good, right? But now if you gave it to him at 18, what's the difference? It's the same kid. He took time. So it's nothing wrong with taking the stairs. We don't have to always come into something and throw everybody out. That's the power of youth. Look, I told you, I was appointed to staff at 25, international staff at 30. I thought I knew it all. I'm glad that nobody gave me what I thought I wanted back then. When I went from working at the region to going downtown to the international, some of my friends in the room today, Open Wyatt, Frank Woods, said, ooh, Jimmy gonna make you his AA. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the AA. I'm glad I didn't become an AA. It took time. And every little step, I learned a little bit along the way. I had a chance to make a mistake before too much was asked for me. I had a chance to learn a little bit more about our organization. There's nothing wrong with taking the stairs. So, number 1, into being successful, into getting where we're trying to go, is to make sure we can take the stairs. Number 2, you've heard it mentioned here already, solidarity and unity. When I got into the unions, I heard them say solidarity, 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 and I knew exactly what they meant. Because, solidarity is easy. That just means that, We're going to stand together, right? But standing together is a whole lot harder than it sounds. See, standing together means you're going to stand with somebody even when you kind of disagree with them. Standing together means you're not going to publicly shame them even though you're mad as hell. Standing together means you're going to show up at the union meeting where the door's closed and you can yell and holler all you want. But when that door opens, we brothers, we sisters, or we others, we walking out of here united. We need to remember those values because we don't stand together like we used to. I told you I love social media. I was on MySpace. Who was on MySpace? Y'all remember you had to put the music up and you were coding and all that? I was bad on MySpace. You couldn't tell me nothing. But I was on MySpace. I've been on Twitter. I've been on all of them. I fought with our union trying to tell them the importance of social media and why we need to get out there to communicate to people. And the reason why I was fighting with them is because online I'm watching everybody take their gripe to social media and to the union meeting. I teach up at Black Lake. I'm there 9 to 10 weeks a year. I see members from all over our union, all over the UAW, and I'm sure in other unions too. We struggle getting people to union meetings to get quorum. We don't struggle to get them online to raise some hell, do we?
No, don't.
Everybody can do that. You get hired today saying, okay, bring me in, pay them $14 an hour. Tomorrow you're online. This is a bunch of bull. I hate these people. Damn, man, you just got here. You hate us already. Like, slow down, right? So online is where we tend to take our gripes. I'm not knocking it, but we got to learn to bring those things internal. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. In fact, I didn't know until I went to union meetings it was okay to cuss at people. I'm just saying, when I grew up, started cussing, fighting was right afterwards. And the union meeting, they just cuss and scream and yell, and then they hug each other and walk out the door. I said, damn. It's different. So that was the first time I learned the true meaning of solidarity. It means we gonna disagree here, and if I lose through a Democratic vote or a Democratic ruling in this union meeting, I can live with it. Because all I really had to do was bring more damn people to the union meeting.
Thank you.
Solidarity and unity is so important. Because we saw, if you all were around in Park, GM went on strike 40 plus days. How would that strike work if people would have just crossed the line? I know people say that don't happen. People don't do that. Well, absolutely they do. See, I was a part of a strike before, American Axle. They were out almost 90 days. People started crossing the picket line. It was cold. They wanted to eat. They loved the owner of American Axle. They loved the owner of American Axle. His name was Dick Dowd. He's dead now. Y'all can just call him by his first name. I won't do that. But he told us at the opening of negotiations, yeah, we got to give these people an $8 pay cut. $8 an hour, we taking it from them. What? Yeah, $8 we taking it. And the reason why he said it was because Dick Dowd used to walk around. He was a former Chrysler executive. He used to walk around General Motors headquarters and tell all the people at GM, y'all stupid. My company is a tier 1 supplier and I'm making more profit than you. You all are dumb. Maybe I should be running GM. I'm not telling you lies, I'm telling you facts. And finally, GM said, you know, wait a minute. We're giving him the $8 an hour supplement because most of the people who worked at American Axle were former GM employees. They spun it off to American Axle. He was making great profit because GM was helping him. Yet he was in there giving him the middle finger. The epitome of stupid. Like all you had to do was just shut up and get paid. But nope, he was in there doing the ultimate no-no, which is what my dad used to say was tickling the lion's tongue while your head was in his mouth. He was in there yelling and screaming at them, and they said, cool, we cut it. Let's see how successful you're going to be now. Our members were out on strike 89 days. Who do you think they blamed for that strike?
Yeah.
The union. Dick Dowd said, I'm not coming back to the table. I don't care what y'all do. I'll be in my house in Florida, and then after that, I'm going to Italy, and I'm traveling around the world. Figure it out when you're home. 89 days later, we had to end the strike. We brought those people back down. If you're from Detroit area, by the way, how many people are here not from Detroit area? How many people? That's awesome. That's excellent. Who knows people? Thank you for traveling to come see and be a part of this conference. But in the people from the Detroit area, we rented out King High School. King High School was the largest place we could fit all those members in there. Vice President Kareem, you were regional director at the time. I know you remember all these things. And we rented out King High School. And the president at the time was Ron Gettlefinger. Ron Gettlefinger was 5'5". I'm not talking about his height. I'm just saying what he was. And he had beautiful hair. He always had it in place like he had sprayed it with the best, whatever people hold stuff on their hair in place with. He always was meticulously dressed. But you hear his name, right? Ron Gettlefinger. Wow. So he didn't take no mess. And he did. He said, we're going to have this meeting, and we're going to tell them, sorry, y'all going to have to go back to work. We lost. We rented out King High School, and it was in a challenging neighborhood. Anybody went to King? There's gas people around too much. I'm just kidding. I love King. But anyway, it was in a challenging neighborhood. So we hired security guards to make sure the cars didn't get, what happens to cars in certain neighborhoods. So we had 4 security guards outside. We were in the hall, and we're down on the floor, and we had the stage set up, and it's people on the balcony, it's people on the floor. It was communist people in this meeting. It was socialist people in this meeting. These people didn't work at American Axle in the damn meeting. And it was Gettlefinger, his top AA, the vice president, and me. I was like, I didn't even have the American Axle assignment. Hell, I was just helping out. What am I doing up here? And the sound went out, the mic went out, and the people went nuts. They were running up at the table and screaming like they were about to fight us. They were so mad at the union. Y'all a bunch of crooks. Y'all taking out $8 an hour. And they screamed and they yelled and they was hollering. They flipped the table over. And Gettlefinger, I looked back, Gettlefinger's hair was going this way and that way. I said, and then Gary Mason, his top AA, said, Kevin, get them damn security guards in here right now. I said, Gary, they said they here for the cars, not for us. So we all 4 stood back to back, and members yelled at us and screamed. And guess what? We took it. And then we had another meeting again, and they yelled some more, and we took it. Because that's what a union is. We didn't dog them out. We didn't say they were bad people. They had to let steam off somewhere. Who else could they yell at? Had they yelled at Dick Doubt, they wouldn't have a job. Eventually, American Axle closed. They did go back to work, but eventually the facilities did close. And a lot of people blamed us for that. But that was a learning lesson for me. And I learned then that without solidarity, we can't win our biggest battles. And many people in this room will be facing some of the biggest battles in your career this year. This year. In case you don't know it, all 3 of the big 3 are taking us on in some way or the other. They're showing signals that this ain't gonna be easy this year. Nope. What are they called? I'm not picking with y'all. I'm being honest. Atlantis, FC. Are y'all French, German, Italian?
We don't know this.
When y'all gonna get a Spanish return? Y'all gotta get Spanish people return too. But seriously, as a youth probably here and say, hey, I'm giving it up for that. Can I get a long Harvey? Oh wait, you don't get it. Why am I talking to you? But I'm bringing this up for a reason. We teach a class called Money Matters. And we teach it for a reason. Because you need to start getting your money in order right now.
Keep telling everybody around.
You need to do it right now. A lot of people want COLA back. A lot of people want big pay raises. People want all these improvements. Let me tell you something. It costs. Nothing is free. Yes, I know the companies are making money, but they don't want to give it to us. The only way we're going to get it is if we are prepared to fight. So maybe you don't buy a new car right now.
Definitely not.
Maybe you don't take that trip so you can post it on Instagram right now.
Definitely not.
Maybe you don't say, let me put in new windows right now. Because these are the old school values that we were taught when we came into the plant. During contract year, you get ready to fight. You don't get ready and say, oh yeah, well hey, I need some new rims on my truck. I'm sorry. I need that new Mia Ray bag. See, I didn't say Louis Vuitton. You know, you need to get ready and you need to tell all your coworkers, especially in the UAW, but this just ain't a UAW thing. This is everything. This is everybody. This is to whatever union you belong in. Right now, there's a battle because corporations corporations have been making record profits all throughout the pandemic, and they're still determined not to share with their members. Inflation is high, seems like they should. On the other hand, they don't want to. So we gotta make them. And the only way we're gonna make them is if you're ready. Don't look at the strike fund and say, well, if the strike fund paid me. Our people back in the day didn't have no strike fund. They made their own strike funds. Young man told me up north, I don't care one way or the other. I'm just gonna go get me a $50,000 loan from a credit union. I'll be fine after the strike.
How you gonna pay the rent?
Damn, what kind of credit you got? You give you a $50,000 loan and you don't have no job, they know it's money? Whatever. But my point to you is you can put up now. You can save now. There are strategies you need to take now, okay? So, be prepared for solidarity and unity. We heard about commitment earlier. Commitment is important to having integrity. Do what you said you were going to do. Do it for your brothers, do it for your sisters, do it for whoever you're working with in your work site. Do it for your family. Don't tell everybody you're going to do something and don't do it. It's a waste of everybody's time, and it destroys our solidarity. So you gotta have commitment. Inky Johnson is a speaker. He traveled the world. He lost his arm to playing college football, which is probably 2 games before he was gonna be a multi-millionaire. He was growing up incredibly poor. Inky Johnson's fantastic. Google him, check him out. But Inky Johnson says, commitment is staying true to what you said you would do long after the feeling has left. That's commitment. It's time to have some more commitment in our world. One of the best commitment examples I ever seen in my personal life was shown by my friend Dave Freeman. Dave would be my biggest cheerleader and fight for me in rooms that people didn't even know we were friends. He called me all the time. Kevin, they said X, Y, and Z about you. I sat and watched and I went off. I said, well, you don't have to go off, Dave. You ain't got to go off. He said, yes, I do. Because you're going to be my friend to the day you die. I just didn't know it'd be that soon, but he was. That's an example of commitment. I missed that type of friendship, but we can be that type of friend. The next thing we have to do is investing in others. Vice President Matt mentioned it, so I won't prolong it. But at the end of the day, we need to figure out how to bring more people into the fold. We spend too much time with cliques and keeping people out and trying to get power and trying to let people know things. If they won't let you in the room and they click, build your own. You're here, you're learning, apply it. If they don't want to let you use the stairs, then unfortunately you're going to have to use the elevator. Tell them that. I'm trying to use the stairs. Maybe you want me to use the elevator. So instead, use the training though and be invested in one another. And then, number 5, never stop learning. Wealth, if you use it, comes to an end. Learning, if you use it, increases. You have to keep learning. This is a learning opportunity for you. Almost every international union has an education department. They're constantly wanting to educate our members. If you're not learning, it's a detriment to you. And you don't have to be enrolled in a university to learn. YouTube is one of the best teachers you will ever find, and it's free. It ain't just for trying to figure out how to change the battery in your remote in your car. You do it for other stuff too. Apply it to your life, but never stop learning. This conference, I first came to BMIU in 1997. When I came, honestly, it was because I heard there was a lot of ladies here.
I'm being honest.
I came for the wrong thing, but I left with the right thing. The founding fathers and hardworking sisters taught us and poured into us. You will have your candle lit this week, and there's no excuse for it to go out. It's really up to you to keep it going. Number 6, we're all people of color for the most part. And if you aren't, it means you're an ally here in this room. We have to learn a new way to deal with people who aren't. We have to learn. We have to learn that we just can't yell racism all the time. Racism, racism, racist, you're racist, you're racist, that was racist, he's racist, his mama racist, his daddy racist. But that ain't gonna get you nowhere. You have to switch and learn to be a teacher. A great book. My friend Robert Wade, I mentioned, did you get that book?
Yes, I did.
Okay. It's called The Sum of Us by Heather McGee.
Yes, it is.
and the subtitle is What Racism Cost All of Us. This book, I got a chance to meet and interview and talk to Heather McGee in 2020. Our vice president at the time, Cindy Estrada, brought her on. We got to learn from her and interact with Heather McGee. Fantastic book. Anybody watch The Best Man, the final chapters? Okay, well, they mentioned the book in there too. I was so thrilled because people are planting seeds of knowledge for people. Read the book. You don't like reading? Fine, get Audible. Let it play in your ear when you're driving. But it's no excuse not to learn that. And I'm going to give you one important lesson in there. And then we're going to go to close because I don't really like Kevin. These people want to get out of here. But in the book, it talks about, in the 50s, how many public pools existed in America. They were everywhere. If you've ever been to Europe, you'll see public pools all over the place. Fantastic pools. We had just as many. What about now? How many public pools you see?
Not so many.
Very few. In fact, you see, which I didn't know until I started being in Oakland County a lot more out here in the Michigan area, you see all these private swim clubs. Well, the reason why was because the NAACP filed a lawsuit and said you guys are keeping black people from using public pools, yet they're paying tax dollars. And the people fought it all the way to the Supreme Court. So in many instances, instead of segregating the pools, they shut them down and said, if black people gotta come, nobody can have them.
Wow.
But who did that hurt? Did it hurt the 12% of black people in the country? Yeah, it did a little, but it hurt the white people even more. When the mortgage crisis was taking advantage of black and brown people with subprime loans, including me, I had one. I didn't know any better. I had a 760 credit score. I bought a house that was only worth $159,000, yet I paid $180,000 for it. They gave me 2 mortgages, didn't need it. Told me I couldn't keep my rental property, and then wouldn't let me refinance when I found out what it was. Had to sell the house in a short sale. I was so embarrassed. Never thought I'd stand on stage and tell anybody that. But I had to find out it wasn't me. They took advantage of me. And not only did they take advantage of me, once they were getting over on so many black and brown people and taking us and forcing us, no matter our credit, into those type of mortgages, they got greedy and started doing it to everybody. That's how the economy crashed in 2008. That's where entry-level working came from. That's where your pay in plants got dropped in half. It started back then. It started with racism and what it cost us. The biggest lesson from that book was that racism, though, is not really the ultimate goal for most people who use it. Power is. Racism is just the tool that they use to accomplish it. If they keep whites in the middle class and poor, thinking that black people are the problem, and they keep black people fired up about this, and they keep Mexican people mad about that, and then they got Arab people mad about this, everybody's divided and the few win. Lastly, the most important one to be successful is learning your truth. Each and every one of us has a special gift or 2 or 3. Mine is this. I love doing this. I love talking and sharing with people. We know Frank, like, my retirement is coming up, Kevin. Hurry up, but learn your truth. Discover it, embrace it, and go after it with everything you got. When you're in that space, you are untouchable. You have a light and a gift and a brilliance that God created you to do. And there are people who see it in you before you see it in yourself. Your job is to find it and use it as often as possible, because you're going to feel good and you're going to make other people feel good when you do it. So, in closing, I just want to say that life has a funny way of testing you. It tested me. On that sheet, which wasn't red, is I got a bunch of promotions. I took the stairs. I also got some demotions too. Things changed for me. I didn't have all the things in lights. They don't get written in the Bible. It wasn't what I thought it was. Life tested me. It said, how bad do you want what you say you want, Kevin? You're going to be challenged on your path. I was, and you are too. If you're going to build a successful team, if you're going to go and do the things you want to do with your life, you're going to be pushed. You're going to face opposition. You're going to doubt if it's possible. Will you give up? Will you talk about it but never do the things you said you were going to do? Are you going to sit here and make all these grandiose plans and talk about all the stuff you're going to do when you leave black men and unions, and then you get back to the plant and say, I ain't or your work site? Is that what you're going to do? In order to make it to where we want to say, we have to learn to love the process. You can get an undergraduate degree, but you'll never get a PhD if you don't learn the process of reading and writing. You can lose weight, but never maintain it if you don't love the process of eating right and working out. Life is about process. Sailors talk about getting to a destination, but it's the sailing they love the most. One huge secret of getting anything you want is learning what the process is and falling in love with it. Once you set that goal, I guarantee you'll get there. There's just 5 simple more rules that I want to share with you to be happy, and we're done. But before I do that, I must say, if you're a UAW member, we are in the middle of a historic election.
Yes.
You cannot be on the sideline. Black people, we sit on the sideline too much. We do it in national elections, in state elections, in federal elections. People in the city of Detroit go, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care. I'm not interested. And then when they get messed over, then they're mad. You're in the process of potentially getting messed over. Don't be mad later. Don't say later, I don't even care no more. You just all a bunch of this and that. No. If you don't vote, you are more at fault than the people who make the bad decisions. It also is not enough for you to say, I voted, I'm done. Get on those people's nerves in your line, in your area. Find 5 people, find 10. We don't have long left. What happened was 100,000 people selected leadership for 1.2 million. Wow. You won't like the results if you stay at home. So you have to get engaged. You have to push people. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I know who I'm voting for. I know who I believe in. I know who I'm going to support. And like I said earlier, you gotta take the elevator. The stairs, not the elevator. You gotta work your way up to this. It's too much to get it too soon. The mistakes you'll make will cost people their jobs. You can't get it back. The company's coming to the room because I've been there. I'm serious when I tell you. Sales took me in places that nobody was in. And I watched the company come in and come with convincing arguments and try their best to tell you, this is the way to go, man. Trust me, this is it. But you gotta be able to come out of that room and have God, instinct, members, a strong team, and experience to know that I don't have all the answers. And if you don't, you all think you're upset now, you'll really be upset soon. So implore the people, if you ain't in the UAW, I don't give a damn, call some of your friends and tell them to make them vote too. Seriously, it's that serious. Now, all right, I'm through politicking. There are 5 simple rules to being happy. Free your heart from hatred. Forgive people. Leave this conference and find 1 or 2 people to go forgive. We battle too much. We're too mad. We always got somebody we beefing with. Let it go. Free your mind from worries. Most of the stuff you're worried about is never going to happen. When you left out this morning, you said, I left the iron on. Now you drive to work, I gotta turn around. You get back home, the iron right on. Do you give up and say, okay, I should never listen to that voice? Nope, that voice switched to something else. Oh, now you're gonna be late for work, you should have went back. Then you get to work on time. Oh, Lord, you know what, you just wrecked, you need a coffee. Stop worrying all the time. 3rd, live simply and appreciate the things we have. If you don't, when you don't have them anymore, you'll miss them. 4, give more. Give more of your time, your energy, your love, your efforts to people. If you ain't giving, don't expect to get. That's not how the world works. 5, expect less from people and more from God. Lastly, I'm just ending with to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a patch of guarding, or redeem a social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier simply because you have lived. This is success. Thank you.